Welcome, photographers, to How to Price and Package Your Photography for Maximum Profits. I'm Charles Lewis, and joining us today is my son and business partner, longtime business partner, Todd Lewis. Hi, Todd.
Hello, photographers. How are you? I hope you're having a wonderful day today. Appreciate you taking time to be in on this event, and we're going to do everything we possibly can to make it more than worth your while and make it as potentially life-changing and business-changing for you as we can. We've got a lot of great stuff planned today.
Yeah, and also joining us today from the great state of Maine is the terrific photographer and business person, Mr. Thomas Morelli. Hi, Tom.
Hello, Chuck. Hello, Todd. Hello, everyone. Great to be here. I wasn't sure, Todd, if I should bring my kazoo, my ukulele, my guitar, or my banjo. So I have them all here in case, we want to have a little Oh, never mind.
I want to hear you play all of them simultaneously.
Yes, all at once, please, Tom.
And then into the wood stove. Yeah. Anyway, not the wood stove. It's too warm right now, but great to be here. And this is, what I live and breathe every day. We're going to talk about here. So this is great stuff.
Yeah. So the key thing about pricing is that chances are extremely good that you are charging too little. Okay. With teaching this and traveling the world and speaking to professional photographers all over the world. Well, no, I haven't been that far. I've been a lot of places in the world, though, let's say that. And I have found that people, as a general rule, charge too little for their work. And then they are perplexed as to why they can't earn a good living. They say, I just don't know what's going on. It must be the area that I'm in. I have a lot of unique problems and situations. And they don't realize that the pricing is such a crucial aspect of all of this. But we're not going to tell you to double or triple your prices overnight. That's not where we're headed here. But boy, what you're going to discover is going to be cool. Right, Todd?
Right. And I want to encourage you, again, if you've got any questions as we go along here, for those of you that are attending live, you can ask us questions. We strongly recommend you take advantage of that. And we will take some time at the end of this event to answer any questions that have come in. But don't wait till the end. You can type them in at any time. We will just get to those questions at the end of the event. We strongly recommend everyone stick on so you can hear the answers to all the questions. But what we're going to be covering today, all of this dealing specifically with pricing and packaging for maximum profits in 2024. Number one, are your prices too high and how to tell if they are too high? Number two, the proven best way to merchandise your photography. We get a lot of questions about that, not just the pricing, but how you put the packages, the collections, all that stuff together. Number three, the amazing price-value relationship for your photography and how that plays into everything you do in your photography business, from the setting of your prices through the marketing to the actual selling of the work as well. How to keep your prices headed in the right direction and what that right direction absolutely should be. Number five, how important are the actual price amounts and how to present them? That's a huge thing too that we get asked an awful lot about how we present those prices once we've set them to our prospective clients. Number six, packages versus a la carte pricing. Number seven, this is a big one, our proven pricing formula, and this is math. This is proven math, and we're going to show you and give you the entire formula right here today on this event. And number eight, the one single secret to pricing that will dramatically increase your success in photography immediately. We're always looking for the things that you can do that you can take action on to get results from right away. And that's what we're going to give you there, is the one top secret that we believe has the most potential to bring you in profits immediately. So how important is your pricing in your photography business? Now, there are people that, some people that believe that, well, it's got to be kind of important, but, it's real easy to come up with how to set your prices. Look out there in the world, see what everyone else is charging and charge less than them. And boy, oh boy, if that is your philosophy, I am sorry. You are potentially dooming yourself to a life of incredible overwork, incredible underachievement, poverty, and depression. Because boy, that is no way to run a successful photography business, because I'm guessing you did not get in the photography business to just stand behind a camera and click the shutter and just click it as fast as you can and crank people through your business, which is what you would have to do in order to even remotely make a penny being the cheapest photographer in town. And even then, you've got to spend a whole ton of money on marketing anyway. So how important is pricing in your photography business? It's vital. And one of the key points to keep in mind here as we go forward is I don't have this coming up on the screen, but I think this ties in with what is on the screen right now, and that is pricing. Your pricing is a marketing decision. Your pricing should be helping you to market your photography to the right clients and get them to hire you, not hurting you. And all of the points we're going to talk about today, starting with key point number 1 here, is going to be geared toward doing that, getting the right clients in your door to be photographed and spend great money, invest wonderful money for what it is you do. So first of all, a couple of key points that apply to everything we're going to talk about today in relation to pricing. In these challenging times, it's more true than ever that hard work and long hours alone will not produce success. You must have an blank, blank, blank for your pricing. Now, what do you think that blank, blank, blank might be? Well, some of you have studied with us for a long time. You should already know what we're going to say there because it's the backbone of everything we teach, and that is that you must have an organized, proven plan. Now, all 3 of those words are vital. Notice we didn't just say have an organized plan or have a proven plan or have an organized proven, which would make no sense. You have to have all 3 of those words because all 3 of them are important. It has to be organized. It has to be pre-put together. It's got to be proven. So it's got to be based on what is proven to work and work consistently and congruently. And then you've got to have that plan laid out in preparation to be able to execute it on a regular basis. And that's what today is. Today is going to be that organized, proven plan for the pricing and packaging aspect of your photography business. Key point number 2, Tom, I'm going to give this one to you because this is one that you are living and breathing every single day of your life, is your understanding and knowledge of the psychology behind this key point.
And until I learned this, I struggled. And that is the costliest mistake most photographers are making right now is thinking that blank is only interested in the price. That's all that matters. So I must keep my prices blank to have any clients. And until I learned this, I was saying blankety blank. And that is that everyone is only interested in price, and I must keep my prices low to have any clients. And boy, that was a huge mistake. And I struggled until I learned that is not true in any way, shape, or form. We often talk about the word everyone. It's kind of a dangerous word because you're blanket painting everyone with the same brush. Everyone. Well, it's not true. Not everyone is only interested in the price. And the sooner you learn that, the better off. And we'll get more into this more in depth, but keeping your prices low, most of the clients that you're going to want to desire that I work with every day, they may be interested in your fees, but they're not interested that you're the lowest person charging fees, because it's kind of a road to the bottom. I mean, if you really started looking around your area, you might be charging for free. That could be your fee. We don't charge anything because everyone else is so low. So keep that in mind. Everyone are not the people that you're going to work with. There are certain specific people in your target market.
And I liken this to just about anything else that you would purchase that is not a little widget or something that you would buy at a dime store, right? Looking at cars, looking at homes, looking at vacations that people take, looking at boats and motorcycles. There are some people out there that, hey, they've got a really tight budget. They need something that fits within that budget, and that budget is really low. But for a lot of people, the price is not the most determining factor of what they're going to purchase as far as that home, that car, that vacation. And those are the people that we are appealing to here as well, the ones who are not necessarily looking for the least expensive photographer in town.
Yeah, and this third one here is so crucial. Successful photographers do not blank, blank, blank with an exclamation point at the end of it. And if you miss everything, oh man, you can't miss anything that we talk about today. This is so important. But remember this, okay? Successful photographers do not reinvent the wheel. The wheel has already been invented. And in this case, we're talking about the merchandising and pricing of professional photography in a way that almost guarantees you will be successful. If you follow this plan, it will almost guarantee. I mean, how can anybody guarantee anything? But this is important. It's already been figured out, and I didn't invent all this stuff. There's one thing we're going to talk about for sure on this event that is mine. Yes, it's mine. I thought of it. I invented it. I experimented with it. I made it work, and it worked like crazy. But that's the only thing. I mean, other than that, I learned this, and so did the other two of us here. We all learned this from other people that were where we wanted to be, that had proven their ability to be successful. And we took their advice very carefully and put it all together in the photography business, because most of the people that we studied with were not necessarily photographers. They were in totally other businesses. But don't reinvent the wheel. It's already out there. You just got to learn who to take advice from so that you can be sure you're going to end up where you want to be.
And that's the benefit of you being here today with us, is we've taken all of this stuff from various industries, from the best of the best out there in their respective industries, and have adapted, tested, proven, and applied it to the photography business specifically.
Yep.
So that's why it's so good that you are here with us. And that brings us to key point number 4. Pricing of an artistic product and service must be based on blank blank, not on what you personally feel your photography is blank. All right, so let's get those filled in right now. They must be based on human psychology and not on what you personally feel your photography is worth. Remember that you may not necessarily be your client. Also, as the artist, which most of you are, most of you attending this today are probably both the artist and the business person. It's your job to not only create this incredible product, but to market and sell it. So you are going to be a lot tougher on yourself than most. We're usually our worst critics as artists. But everything that we are doing to sell this product and service, this incredible thing that we provide to our clients, is all based on human psychology. It is not based on manipulation or trickery. There's a difference there. Yes, you can use an understanding of human psychology to trick people into doing things they shouldn't do, or that they don't want to do, or that are not going to be beneficial to them. But every single thing we're talking about today is designed first and foremost to benefit the client. First and foremost to benefit the client. Now, they're going to pay well for that benefit. And that's how we also are able to win, because that allows us to earn a living doing what we love to do and not have to have a second job, a third job, a fourth job, and get paid very well and run our business based on our terms, not based on what we feel the people looking for the lowest possible photographer out there are demanding. So if you've struggled at all, feeling like you're not A, finding clients, or B, not finding the right types of clients that really appreciate what you do and are willing to invest a little bit more for it, your pricing may be part of that problem. Because remember, you and I will starve if we set our fees based on what we would be willing to pay, because sometimes, hey, we may not be our own target market. All right, let's dive into some specifics on pricing now. And remember, those things that we just talked about, those key points, because you'll see how they apply to all of the things listed on the right side there today, our kind of outline for this event. And we're going to start with too high, too low. And that's pricing secret number 1. Are your prices too high? This is a question I'm sure every single one of you have asked yourself at least probably 365 times a year. You probably wake up every morning and think, are my prices too high? Am I just not doing, should they be lower, whatever? Well, here is a fact this is a mathematical fact of human psychology. If at least 2/3 of your prospects and clients aren't complaining about your prices, then your prices are too low. Now, this is a huge key point, and the reason I wanted to start with this one today is because this should give you this gives you a hall pass. This should cause you to breathe a sigh of relief, because what this does is this now not only says that, you know, some of your clients should be complaining about your prices. It gives you permission and a desire to hear people complaining about your prices. Because if 2/3 of them aren't outwardly complaining about your prices, then your prices are too low and you're doing something wrong. So now, instead of being all tense and having anxiety about people complaining about your prices, from this day forward, you should go into every day hoping that at least 2/3 of them complain about your prices, because that means you're doing something right. Dad, anything you want to quickly add about this very important law? Because obviously I learned this from you, and you spent decades testing and proving this theory and this fact.
Yeah, one of the issues that we photography creative types have is we have a huge fear of rejection, a huge fear of failure. We want to please everybody. That's just kind of the way right brain dominant people are, and we're right brain dominant. And so every time someone would complain, when I was getting started and someone would complain that my prices were a little too high, it would hurt me. And I would go, oh, wow, I wonder if I could lower them a little. Maybe I should. You know, I don't have very many clients. Maybe it's because my prices are too high. And now some people are complaining. It was a really hard thing to figure out. And really what this is, when we're talking about pricing secret number 2, when we're talking about pricing, we're also talking about merchandising. One of my favorite words in the business of photography, in any business, is merchandising. How you present the fees that you are charging for your clients in a way that is attractive to them, that doesn't turn them off, but more turns them on. They see, not that it's cheap. The pricing is the number. Merchandising is how that number is presented. And the magic of blank, blank, blank merchandising is the magic of good, better, best. Oh, this is big. This is huge. And the first place I ever heard this was from the great Paul Linwood Giddings, one of the greatest business people in the profession of photography ever. And he wrote a great book called Color Portraiture, which is, you know, a million years out of print now. And I went to his last class that he ever taught at Winona School of Professional Photography with PP of A. And that's where I heard this, the magic of good, better, best. You always have a good product line, a better product line, and then a best product line. So you have 3 product lines. You don't call them good, better, best. They're given a nice name, a good name, but nothing about the word good, the word better, the word best. And then you start with your best. It is absolutely fantastic. Revolutionized. Thankfully, I attended his class when I was only like 1 year into my photography business, and I was doing miserably. And holy smokes, thank you, Mr. Giddings, for that. And so that's what you want to do. You want to have a good, a better, and a best, 3 product lines in what 3 product lines in portraiture, in high school seniors, maybe in baby plans, maybe, you know, in every type of a product you're offering, you want a good, a better, and a best. Really important.
All right, pricing secret number 3. Boy, this one I could talk an hour about. The price value relationship. The blank you blank, the blank you're perceived to be by your prospects and clients. And that is, the more you charge, the better you're perceived to be by your prospects and clients. Now, I actually had experience with this when I was way undercharging many decades ago when I began and didn't know this stuff. And I actually had people in later years confide in me who did not hire me. They went somewhere else because they thought my prices were so low, I probably wasn't that good. So you have to look at it in an inverse way. I was worried, well, they're not going to want to work with me. I charge too much. Well, no, it was the other way around. And it took a while to wrap my head around that. Call it low self-esteem, call it, I was green in the business, whatever it is. I found as we went along, the more I charged, the better I was perceived by prospects and clients, and also the better prospects and clients were calling me. the quality of the folks I got to work with just kept improving. And I'm not just talking monetarily, but just the fact that they valued what I do and they appreciated that I charged what I did so I could do that for them. So remember that if somebody is selling you a Rolex watch for $10 and the other one is $5,000, there's probably a reason. And that's true in any business, including ours.
Right. And now I want to pause here for a moment because I think this is a great time. Pricing secret number 3 is a great time to address the elephant in the room, which is any photographer who might say, well, yeah, guys, but I mean, the economy and everything right now, and people are, struggling and so forth. And so first of all, on the economy, depending on who you ask, the economy is either doing terribly or really, really well. I'm sure you've all struggled with that as you watch the news, as you hear what people are saying. It's like some people are saying that the economy is amazing and some are saying that it's terrible. And a lot of that comes down to where are you in the economic structure? For some people, absolutely, they're really struggling because of the inflation that's happened and so forth since COVID and supply chain issues and all of that stuff. They're really struggling to put food on the table. Other people who have, say, money in the stock market and stuff like that are seeing things really going well, or people who are, selling their homes and things like that. So it really comes down to the same fact that is true almost all the time, without exception, and that is there will always be people out there who are looking for the best, who are looking for something really wonderful and are willing to invest a bit more than other people would to get that. And that's who your target market is if you are indeed a medium to high priced, lower volume studio. And that's why the more you charge, the better you are perceived. I mean, we all know what that's like. If you walk into a car showroom and as you walk in the door, there's a $5,000 car to your left and a $500,000 car to your right, which car do you automatically assume is better? Now, even if both those cars looked identical, at first glance, they looked identical. Which one are you going to assume, for whatever reason, is way better than the other one? Well, it's going to be that $500,000 one. Whether it's true or not, that's the perception.
Yep.
Now, obviously, as photographers, we are striving every day of our lives to make sure that we are fulfilling that expectation, and that, yeah, by charging a bit more, we are really providing them with an exceptional product. So yeah, remember that price value relationship. It is vital in every decision you make in your pricing and marketing.
Yeah, and this is all, again, dealing with human psychology and with our fear of failure, our fear of being yelled at, but you've got to keep your prices going in the correct direction, always. And for that we used blank pricing. And then you raise your prices blank between blank and blank each time. This took me years to figure this out and get this proven to work. We use autopilot pricing. That means that you raise your prices twice a year. Yes, I know that people are complaining about inflation. Well, then when was the last time you raised your fees? It better be last week or last month, right? I mean, everybody's complaining. Yeah. If you haven't raised your fees, you have reduced your fees. That's what you've done automatically by default. So autopilot pricing says you always raise your prices twice a year. Once in January, because most photographers in most parts of the country, January is kind of a very slow year, to put it nicely, okay? A rather slow part of the year. And then you raise them in July, because you got the best part of the year coming. We all know that from now to the end of the year, that's when everything starts to really take off. Tom and I and Todd were just talking before we went live today on how his business is really starting to take off. You can feel it's all starting to happen right now, really taking off. And that's because it's July, right? So you raise your prices twice a year between 10 and 20%. You raise them 10% if you're scared to death. You're so scared. I don't have any clients. I don't have any money. I don't have anything. And you're telling me to raise my prices? Yes, I am. Okay, then I'll raise them 10%. 10% is almost just sales tax practically. It's nothing. Nobody will give a rip about 10%. But if you're feeling good, you're feeling confident. If you don't have clients right now, it's not because your prices are too high. It is not. It's because your marketing sucks, right? We have to face that eventually. So then if you're feeling good, you're feeling confident, then you raise your prices 20%. So, and you do it in January, you do it in July. Not a huge amount, but just a little bit each time. And wow, watch what happens to your profitability, your reputation in the community, how you're respected, how people admire you and they take your advice.
Pricing secret number 5, which follows nicely after that, is that to help kind of rationalize with that raising of the prices twice a year is to remember that it's not the price, it's blank, you blanket. Blank, you blanket, blank, you blanket. It's not the price, it's how you present that price that matters. That's what really matters. Again, remembering, see how all these things tie in together. The human psychology of it, the fact that, not everyone out there is looking for the least expensive photographer, the price value relationship, making sure that your prices are being reflected by raising them twice a year in what's happening in the world. It's not about the price itself, it's how you present it. And we've got to take a little bit of time here to talk about this. The importance of how you present the prices to your clients is going to be vital to your success. And not only how you present the prices, but then how you rationalize those prices by how you present the photographs to the clients themselves. But let's talk about for a moment how you present the prices here. First of all, remembering that we're talking human psychology here. We're always looking for the people who price is not the number one determining factor of who's going to be their photographer. Those are the people we're going to appeal to. So just leading in all of our marketing with, we have an incredible special right now. Normally it's $10,000. You get it today for $50. That's not going to be appealing to the type of clients we're going after, right? Because that immediately says, well, how good can you be if you're discounting that much and if you're, that inexpensive, that cheap? So how you present your prices to your clients are vital, and how you present them on the phone, and how you present them in person, how you present them in your email correspondence, all that stuff on your website is all incredibly important. So if it's not the price that matters and it's how you present the price, let's talk about the 3 key areas here. I already kind of hinted at these. One is on the telephone, one is in emails, and one is in person. Now, when I say emails too, that can also apply to a degree to like text messages or private messages on social media, things like that. But those are the 3 main areas that we're going to be talking about here when it comes to presenting your prices. So let's start with the first one here. Dad, I'm going to turn this one over to you, which is going to be talking about the telephone, because almost everything I have learned about talking with people on the telephone, building rapport, presenting the prices, and getting them to realize that we are the right photographer for them, I learned all from you.
Well, thank you, Todd. Yeah, on the telephone, there's certain things you need to memorize. There's certain things you need to take advice from someone who is where you want to be, and then instead of trying to reinvent the wheel, just take their advice and do what they are telling you, recommending that you do, and we can trust them because they are where we want to be ourselves. So obviously they know this. So the blanks there, the blank blank is one of the all-time most valuable few sentences I have ever discovered. And that is the volunteer statement. We give it a title. And the volunteer statement is a statement that we use to volunteer to a prospect what the investment will be, and in certain words, and we're going to talk about that and show it to you in a minute here, but it's memorized word for word. Right, Todd?
Yeah, and again, anyone that's thinking that the telephone, you might think, oh, the telephone, who uses the telephone anymore? Well, guess what? Your target market uses the telephone, and you know what? They're using their telephones more now. I mean, to actually call people, to actually talk to a human being, not just text. They're using their telephones more now than they have probably in the last, 5 to 8 years. We're seeing a massive growth in people using the telephone and wanting to talk to a human being. So this is more applicable now than ever. But this is the volunteer statement is a tested and proven memorized statement, which you use to volunteer your prices on the telephone every time, and you use it word for word. Do not change the wording of this volunteer statement. Don't make the mistake of thinking I'm just going to wing it and I'm just going to kind of get the gist. Memorize this statement, because it has taken us years of trial and error to get the wording of this exactly right. So we don't even have to think about it. I mean, I'm not even going to advance to the next screen right now. I'm not even going to advance to the next screens and show you. I've had this memorized for the last 30 years of my life. And if somebody were to ask, hey, Todd, what's the volunteer statement? I would immediately go into, oh, well, I'll be happy. I'm sorry, I was just about to do the redirection question. Look at that.
Yeah.
Here's the volunteer statement right off the top of my head. Before we go any further, do you mind if I give you a little indication of what you could plan on investing for the portraits? Is that okay? They say okay. And then you say, well, somebody in your position can generally plan on investing somewhere between about X and Y dollars. And that'll get you a larger one for yourself and some smaller ones you can give as gifts. Does that fit within your budget? All right, there it is. There it is, word for word. I mean, I'm pretty sure I got it word for word. We'll see in a second here. But that's the way I word it every single time. I don't even have to think about it. So we'll get to the volunteer statement in a moment. You're going to see it in a moment in the flesh, and we'll see how close I was to getting that right.
Yeah, and where you're going to see it is on our telecharts. All right, remember we started talking at the very beginning, one of the major key points of today was that you need that long hours and hard work alone will not produce success. They just won't. I'm sorry, they won't. You have to have an organized, proven plan. Remember Todd talking about that? Well, you have to have an organized, proven plan for every aspect of your business, everything. Today and right now, we're talking about the telephone. So our telecharts are the organized plan. It's laid out in a proven, organized plan that took me years and years, actually about 11 years, to get it working and understood and organized. And so what we do is on the third page, in fact, why don't we take a look at the telecharts a minute and just quickly give you an idea of what they are. So this is page 1 of a 4-page telechart for children's portrait photography. So if they're calling and they're saying, yeah, I'm wondering how much you charge for a portrait of my daughter or whatever, that's their first question, right? It's always the first question, at least in our culture, it is usually the first question. Well, you follow the steps. Step 1 right there, 2/3 of the way down the page, the rapport building qualification and DBM, dominant buying motive. We're searching for the dominant buying motive, without telling her what is your dominant buying motive, because she won't know what that means, right?
Yeah, the dominant buying motive is basically what is the main reason she's looking for something like this right now.
Yep.
That's the dominant, and you got to find that first, because otherwise all she's going to be asking you are pricing questions and what do I get for that and how many and do I get the digitals. We need to get her thinking about why is this even important to her right now and talking about that.
And that's what step 1 does. And you'll see those questions on the right-hand side there. The first one is what we call the magic question, which is what's most important to you about this portrait? If you don't mind me asking, what's most important to you? The way I teach it is, if you don't mind me asking, what's most important to you about blank? And then you fill in the blank with whatever it is they're talking about: wedding photography, portrait of their child, graduation photography, whatever that is. All right, and then we've got our responses there. So we can talk about our guarantee. We can, this thing is a goal. This revolutionized my career. Where in the world would I be without the telecharts? And that's just page 1. So if we move to page 2, you can see that we're talking about step 2, which is the interest, emotion, and enthusiasm step. There are 4 steps, and this is number 2. And then I've got a series of questions I can ask there that are dealing with interest, emotion, and enthusiasm that will help her get emotional and enthusiastic about the prospect of having us create her photography for her. And then step 3, which is so important, and they don't teach us this in school. I just don't get it. and it's called the education and the unique factors step. What is it that's unique about you? I'm asking you now, you who is listening to this right now, what is unique about you? What's so special about you? What separates you from all the other photographers in the area? Truthfully, no hype, no sales presentation, just the truth. You know, what separates you? And when I first learned this, oh man, I thought to myself, yeah, what separates me? And I could only think of three things. I'm fast, I'm good, and I'm cheap. I was in a bad, right, Tom? I was in a bad place at that point in my career. If that's the only three things I could think of that separated me from I laugh at it now, but I was scared to death back there when I was just getting going and I didn't know this stuff. And so then this third page is continuing of step 3, the education and the unique factors step. And it's got a whole bunch of more questions I can ask. But down there in the lower right-hand corner, in the little box there, you see the volunteer statement. And it says, before we go any further, see if this sounds familiar to you. Before we go any further, let me give you an indication of what you can plan on investing. Is that okay? Wait for the answer. She says, yes. She said, well, most people in your situation can usually plan on investing between X and Y and get a larger one for themselves and a few smaller ones for gifts. Does that fit within your budget? That is a gold mine. That little box down there, holy smokes.
Yeah.
Where I would have been out of business years and years and years, decades ago without, oh man. And rather than taking your time to try and figure all this stuff out, just copy what we can already tell you works really, really incredibly well. But did you see how that is almost exactly word for word with what Todd said earlier?
Yeah, and so what you're doing with these telecharts are basically like a script. You know, if you've ever felt at all anxious when the phone rings and you're going to pick it up and you know that that's going to be a potential client on the other end and you're just not exactly sure what you're going to say depending on what they say, this takes all of the guesswork out of it. All the guesswork out. This has 95% of the things you're going to hear from them and how to respond to them. And
yep.
It's a gold mine. I mean, this is priceless right here. So if you don't have your own telecharts, get some, make them, put your own telecharts together. If you are a member of the online vault, you have access to these. You can go to the online vault and you can download these for yourself. Then you don't have to do any of this. You will be getting exactly what you're seeing on the screen here. The last step in this 4 steps is the close. You want to talk about that real quick, Dan?
Yeah. Step 4 is the close. That's where you ask them to do whatever it is you want them to do. And in our case, we want them to get together and chat. No charge, no obligation. Let's just chat about this. I can tell from talking with you that this is important to you. How about next Tuesday at 3 o'clock? That's an example of a close, where you close it by asking her to do the next step. And I always had trouble with that. I couldn't figure out what the right way to word it. So I experimented, I tested, I kept good records, and I put it on my telechart on page number 4, and there they are. And then on the other side of that page are the objections, how to respond to objections and stalls. Some people are afraid of making a decision because they're afraid they'll make a wrong decision. So what they do is they don't make any at all. Well, here's how to handle with that. That's called a stall. And so we have our responses to stalls and objections right there going down the page. It's just fantastic. So if she says this, we answer with this. It's fantastic. And this is an organized, proven plan for the telephone. And you'd be shocked at how much of it we also use in emails, which Todd and I and Tom are going to talk about here in a second, or also in person. It goes together. It's fantastic, right, Todd?
Absolutely. So telephone is number 1. And the reason we had telephone number 1 on there is our goal with all of our marketing, our goal with even email responses, as you'll see here in a second, and with text messages and so forth. Our goal is always to get them on the telephone, because it is so much infinitely easier to build an honest rapport and relationship with somebody when they can hear your voice instead of just read what you're saying.
Yep.
That's a huge thing. So telephone is always going to be the #1 goal, because we've discovered from keeping very close numbers that we're somewhere between 8 and 12 times more likely to turn someone into a booked client, no matter what type of photography they're looking for, families, children, seniors, weddings, executives, whatever it is. We're 8 to 12 times more likely to turn them into a booked client if we at least get them on the telephone. That's huge, 8 to 12 times, and it doesn't cost you a penny more in marketing. You know, that why would you not do that? But let's give you some options in case they're not quite ready to pick up the phone and call you yet. So let's talk about emails here. You must have an organized plan, right? An organized, proven system for your email response. Never ever discuss price in an email response to someone asking about your prices. All right, so let's deal with that first. I know you might be thinking, somebody emails and says, how much do you charge? You're going to send them a PDF of your price list, or you're going to just tell them in the email, here are my prices, they range from this, or you're going to give them a version of the volunteer statement like we just gave on the telephone, right? Wrong. We're not going to give them any prices in the email. What we're going to do with the email is get them to realize and understand why they should pick up the phone and call us, because there's a lot more to discuss here. Not just the prices, not just the packages, but also what they're going to get, what this whole thing is going to be like, and how meaningful these images are going to be to them. Instead, you're going to use 3 to 4 sequences of emails to get her to pick up the phone and call you. So let's talk about what each of these emails must contain if you want it to be successful. It's not as simple as just emailing back and saying, well, yeah, okay, yeah, let's talk about the fees and stuff. You know, well, why don't you just call me and we can talk about it. It'll be a lot easier than typing. That's not enough. There's a lot of things that those emails must contain in order to be successful, because remember, this email is an extension of your marketing. First of all, it's got to have a great headline. At the top of that email, I'm not talking the subject head. The subject head, which is what they see when they first, open their email browser and they look at the email, that's a whole separate thing, which is also vital. But once they open it, you have to have a great headline at the top that lets them know why this is going to be important for them to read and why it applies to them, and how it's going to maybe answer a question they have, or answer a fear that they have, or something that they're worried about. Number 2 is at least 4 photographs with testimonials in there, so they can see the quality of your work. Preferably those photographs will be of the type that the person has inquired about. So if they called you, or if they emailed you about, I'd like to know how much you charge for family photography, then you're going to send them an email with 4 photographs of families in it with accompanying testimonials. And the testimonials are vital. What did those clients say about how much they love these portraits, the process of having them done, and you as an artist? Number 3 is the redirection question. The redirection question is the way that you let them know immediately at the beginning of that email, or very near the beginning of that email, that you are going to answer their question, which is probably was along the lines of how much do you charge? That's typically the type of questions we're at. We want to let them know we are going to answer that question. It's going to be better to do it on the telephone. The redirection question goes like this. You'll see it in the emails that we're going to show you here in a second. The redirection question goes like this. I appreciate you sending me the email asking what we charge. I'd be happy to discuss our fees, but before I do you mind if I ask you a few questions first so I can find out exactly what you're looking for? And then you can either start asking a couple questions in the email, or let them know, hey, this will be a lot easier to do over the phone. Why don't you pick up the phone and give me a call, and I can ask you the questions. We'll discover a lot more about what you're looking for. And then you've got to be sure to have a curious unknown. A curious unknown is something that gets them to go, oh, well, I didn't even know I should be wondering about that, but now I kind of need to know what the answer to that is. A curious unknown is something that gets them to be very curious about something they don't know about, that they feel like they really need to know the answer to. And we'll show you some examples of that as well. And then multiple calls to action. You want to have not just one call to action in there, which in our case is going to be to pick up the phone and call us, right, as we've mentioned. But you want to have that in there multiple times, because as psychologists will tell you, as we have discovered through centuries now of marketing expertise, is that it takes multiple asks before somebody will typically take an action. It's
Yep.
not enough to just say it once. You've got to do it multiple times. And each time it starts to seep in, and they're getting closer and closer because of what you said in between those multiple calls to action. All 5 of those things are vital in each of the emails that you send in this sequence. So Dad, why don't you go ahead and talk about this? We've got an example of just one of our, I don't know, 12 to 15 different emails that we have as part of our email response system. This one happens to be, as you can tell from the photographs, applying to family photography.
Yeah, and this is the way it looks. In other words, in order to read it, they're going to have to scroll, and that is good. Okay, we want them to take action. We want the words large enough so they can read them. We want the photographs big enough so that they can see them and read the testimonials underneath it. So when we zoom in closer here, you can see we have a personalized headline, and then we have, I'll be happy to discuss our fees, but may I ask you a few questions, right? That's the redirection question that Todd mentioned, which we also have right on the top of our page 1 of our telecharts. And then we go into the curious unknown. In fact, let's not try to do this by email. Let's talk on the telephone a moment. It's way faster for you than email, and it will give you a chance to discover how to avoid the biggest mistake most people make when having photographs created. This one mistake is huge and results in many people being very disappointed in their portraits. And I'll tell you all about it on the phone so you don't make this mistake yourself. Now, you must admit, even you, a professional photographer, would love to know what that mistake is. That's called a curious unknown. Very crucial to it. And then, of course, please notice the photographs, at least 4 along the right-hand column, and with you testimonials with their full name, city, and state. Okay? Don't just say JP from such and such town. No, I want full name so that they could literally, if they wanted to, in this day and age with Google as strong as it is, you know what they could do. If they really wanted to, they could start searching. You gave me their city and state, you gave me their first and last name. Wow. I could look them up, call them and say, did you really say that about Charles Lewis? Is that really true? That's what you have to do. Because these are real testimonials. Never make up a testimonial. Never make up anything. In order to build a successful business, you must first come from a place of complete and total honesty. Now, there's ways to say that from a psychology point, but you're never going to lie to somebody. So this, when I'm saying this is a testimony, yes, it is really a testimonial. And they're in quotation marks as well, by the way. And of course, we have multiple calls to action, which Todd already talked about. And we have our number 1 unique feature, by the way, right? We talked about unique factors there in step 3 on the telecharts. One more thing, and it's important. Another one of the things that separates us from all the other photographers in the area is our guarantee. We absolutely guarantee that you will be thrilled, not just satisfied. You know, I hate that. We guarantee you will be satisfied. Give me a break. Thrilled with your portraits, or we will do whatever is necessary to see to it that you are thrilled, or we will give you all your money back. No hassles, no hard feelings either. If you're not thrilled, we don't deserve to be paid. That's just the honest way I feel about my photography. And then, gee, another call to action. Just give me a call now at ... Okay? That is a valuable, proven, organized plan that is proven to work, that is all done for you. You don't have to write anything, just take my name out, put your name in.
And
Right,
as
Tom?
members, you have access to this on the online vault.
That's right.
So
It's all
just
there
type-
explaining everything.
Just type email response system into the search bar and it'll take you right to it. Now, Tom has used this exact secret in his own photography business and has kept close track of the numbers, which he is all about, just as we are. Keeping track of the numbers, keeping track of what works and what doesn't work so that you can replicate the things that do work. And Tom, when you did this for the first time, when you went from your old system of responding to emails, which maybe you can talk about for just 30 seconds what your old way of responding was, and then you tried this way, which we gave you with these all written and everything, what happened? But first, talk about how you used to respond to emails when they would just email you and ask about price or whatever.
My email response was very similar to my telephone response because I did not have the telecharts nor, of course, the email system at that point. So it was basically like this: hi, how much do you charge? And I tell them, and they'd say, okay, I'm just looking around. And I'd say, okay, well, call me back if you're interested. Click. That was about it. And then I played tiddlywinks and looked at my bank account and said 0, and answered the next call the same way. So, but in more lengthy explanation real quickly here, when it came to emails, I'm a pretty good writer. I'm pretty creative. Unfortunately, it takes a long time to sit down and individually craft what you think is a clever and a, boy, they're going to respond to this type of email to each person, because you get a lot of email inquiries if you're marketing properly. So you sit down and write something great, and boy, they're going to love this. And then they ghost you. You never hear from them again. And there's a reason for that, because all the elements that are in this email system were missing from mine. Even though mine made sense, I wasn't crafting them properly. Well, this is a template to do it properly. It's the same every time. You just put in, of course, personalize it with their name and all the particulars that pertain to them. And it worked fantastic right away. And I use it all the time. It's a rolling system, meaning every week there's inquiries that come in. But we took a little slice of time when I started using this to try to measure how it went. And so I just grabbed a bunch of results. I said there were 28 recent potential clients that emailed me, and they all asked the same thing, because a lot of times they don't know what to ask. You know, how much is it? Do you do family portraits or whatever? Now, I responded with this system that you're seeing here. 18 out of that 28 called right away and booked. You know, we got them on the telephone, of course, and then they became a client. 6 more responded to that follow-up second email, and they called me and booked with me. And then 1 more responded to the third email and booked. That's 73% booked from this email system, just out of that little slice. And I've used this now for a long time, and it works great. Technology changes, but boy, human psychology does not. It's all based on that, of course, as we've been talking about. It will totally simplify your life, because you're not trying to make up something and reinvent the wheel email-wise every time.
So what Tom's talking about here, and we alluded to this at the beginning, is that you're not just going to send one email. What you just saw was one email of a 4-step system. Okay, a 3 or 4 step. It looks like Tom used 3 here for this, because you notice if he had stopped after that first email, yeah, he got 18, which is fantastic. That's great right out of the gate. But if he had stopped there, he would have left 7 more clients on the table that would not have booked with him. That's 7 at his average sale. That's a lot of money right there. So you want to be sure to do follow-ups to the people that you do not hear back from that first one, then the second one, then the third one. But that is great. A 73% booking percentage from this email system. Congratulations, Tom. And now you're using that on a regular basis. Would you say that you're getting that same typical kind of, 70 to 75% booking rate from those?
Absolutely, because you got to remember, if people are, at least imaginary, raising their hand saying, I'm interested, they're already a warm list. They took the time to actually contact you. So if you say the right thing, they're pretty much primed to work with you, but you have to present it properly to them. And so if they're taking that step, you got to be ready to talk to them.
Very good. Thank you, Tom. Thank you for sharing those numbers with us and for keeping them so meticulously. Now, again, so far in the 3 key areas of it, not the price that matters, it's how you present the price. We've talked about the telephone, we talked about emails. Now, what about in person? So in person, you're going to use what we call the mega booking packet. Now, when I say in person, we have chosen over the years to work by appointment only. We do not just have people walking up and just opening our door and coming in. The reasons for that are we want to be prepared. We want to make sure we have time to talk with them. We want them to take a baby step toward working with us first before we talk with them in person, because we know that a big step is made up of a series of smaller steps. All right. And the big step is getting them to hire us. Well, we got to get them to take some baby steps toward hiring us first. The first one is they see our marketing and they email us. Well, we respond with the email response system, and our goal is to get them on the phone. That gets them to take the next baby step, which is talk with us on the telephone. And then on the telephone, we're going to let them know, hey, why don't you come in and let's talk in person about this? I can show you some of our work. We can talk a little bit about clothing, about the people in your family, whatever it is, and we get them to come in. And that's when we will use the mega booking packet. This mega booking packet is exactly what it sounds like. We're going to show you a copy of it here. And Dad, I'm going to have you talk through this because you put this whole thing together. Look how beautiful that looks. So why don't you talk about what the mega booking packet is and kind of why it's designed the way it is.
Yeah, it's an organized plan for taking somebody who's coming in to meet with me with trepidation, shall we say. Not sure that they want to hire me because they don't have to be sure. We want them to come in and chat. No charge, no obligation. And it's designed to take them from that position or state, as Tony Robbins would call it, and to turn them into a happy, excited, enthusiastic paying client without trickery, without manipulation, without pressure. Quit thinking like that. That's not how you build a good long-term photography business. You do it by helping them, finding out what they want, and then helping them to get what they want. So this has 9 incredibly powerful, proven sheets of paper that are so crucial to the success of my photography business and my average sales. The average sales are so much higher than I ever dreamed they ever would be, because this is the system we're following, and the system just takes care of you. I tell the students we work with and the consulting people we work with and stuff that just use the system. The system works. You don't even have to understand why the system works. Just use our system and watch what happens. I mean, it's that exciting. So it has these 9 forms. And of course, the most important one is the portrait reservation form, which is designed to actually get them to give you money today. And it also has a modeling release. It has unique factors. It's got all these different things that she can take home with her. But the point is, it's not what I want her to take home. It's that I want her to book today. And this presents you in such a positive, professional, exciting way that it's just a normal thing. She just says, sure, I'll just pay you today. She gets out her checkbook, her credit card, and it works. And she's thrilled and we're thrilled. Everybody's happy. This is a win-win.
Yeah, and just to be clear, what she's paying today is the creation fee, correct?
Mm-hmm.
So I don't want people
I didn't mention that.
Prepaying for a package or anything like that. She would be investing in the creation fee, which sets aside the time for us to create the images. Then it'll be later that we'll go over those images with them, give them their options as far as sizes and number of portraits and so forth at that point.
Exactly. Thank you, Todd.
All right, here we go. Blank almost always outsell blank, blank, blank when done correctly. And that is packages almost always outsell a la carte when done correctly. And I learned this the hard way early in my career. I didn't know how to price at all. I just looked around and saw what people were doing. So I made a little price list that I'd hand out. Big mistake. And no one ever called. There's some people that actually still have that price list after 35 years, and they're still telling me they're going to call someday. And but I'd have like an 8x10 is this, and a 5x7 is this, and heaven help us, a 4x6, if you really want one of those big ones, is this. And it just didn't make sense. People would be like, well, I'll just take that. I mean, it just didn't make sense to the client or to the prospect, or at that point, my client, or to me, but I just didn't know what to do. In this case, learning how to put those packages together to show value, and it's part of merchandising, to show that the client will benefit from moving up to that particular package as opposed to doing the a la carte. A la carte, of course, being one at a time, one print at a time, rather than packaged together in a collection or a package that makes more sense and also shows value to that person when they're thinking of investing in portraits. Chuck?
Yeah, there's so much to talk about, Tom. I have difficulties with this because there's so many interesting discoveries that we have made over the years that would be very helpful. But I think the thing I really want to talk about right here are, do you have packages or do you have a la carte, and how do you do it, and how are they different? So let's just draw it out a second here. So when we say a la carte, that means one by one, one at a time in French, something like that. And that's where you just start with your sizes and your fees, and you just write them down there, okay? But if you do packages, okay, then you could have package A and it's so much money and it includes this, this, and this. And then package B is so much money and includes this, this, and this. And package C, well, that's not bad either. But the hybrid, oh, ho, ho, cha-ching, cha-ching. Ladies and gentlemen, this is really amazing merchandising. You have the no packages a la carte thing right there, just like you saw on the left-hand side there. But then they can also choose to go with what we now call a collection, really. I should use collection instead of package there. But they have a package, which is package A, let's say, because we give them all a name, package A, and it's so much money, and ... save so much money. And then it includes this, 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 and this. And then package B, the investment is this much, ... save XXX, very important. The ... save so much. Tell them how much they save. And then that includes this and this and this. And that is wonderful, especially for high school graduating seniors. Oh my goodness, did that revolutionize the way I did business when I came. And that actually happened because I was upset. It was in the middle of the fall and I was going crazy with high school seniors. I had so many high school seniors, but I wasn't making very much money off of them. I don't mean off of them. That sounds terrible. I wasn't making, my average sale was not as high as I needed it to be to have a lifestyle that I wanted. So what I did was I got mad because a lady called, I'll never forget this, Todd. I don't remember if I ever told you this, but this lady called, a very nice lady, and she wanted a family portrait. And my family portrait sales were approximately 10 times the average high school senior sale, 10 times, for approximately the same amount of work, 10 times. I wanted families. That's what I wanted. That's what I call my 80-20 law. 80% of the money in my pocket comes from 20% of the people I work with, and those were family portraits. There was no question about it. But I couldn't book her because I was so booked with seniors. I couldn't even find a time to have her set up to come in and chat with me. There was nothing there. And I hung up that phone and I said, what did I just do? This woman told me things about her husband, that she was concerned about his health and she wanted something really nice while the whole family was, and I told her, I'm sorry, I'm too busy. Oh my heck. So I got mad. And that's when I came up with that hybrid that I just showed you on the screen there. Wow, is that powerful? That's my pricing formula, merchandising formula. Now we're going to get into the actual formula, which is, this sounds so mathematic and it's not. It's copy and paste is what it is. This is so cool. And I can't really come up with I don't think I learned this from any, there was a guy in the cement business, believe it or not, the big cement trucks you see driving down, he was in that business, very successful, had cement companies all over the states, all over the United States. And I think I got pieces of this from him. But anyway, if you're not charging at least blank, and for me, that blank is $85. If you're not charging at least a pathetic $85, and I don't mean to be crass here, but $85 for what you're doing for an 8x10 of that image you created with your talent and all the years of experience and the amount of time that you have put into being able to do what you do and make it look easy. And you're worried, I know, because I was scared to charge what I should have been charging. So I'm saying that to you from my heart. So if you're not charging at least $85 for an entry level, that's your low. Remember, good, better, best? So for your good level, at least $85, you can't make it in business in 2024 and beyond. You just can't. And then once you have your 8x10 fee, this is so cool. It's easy to determine all your other fees for your other sizes with this formula. It's so cool. So let me give you the formula. It's so simple. It's fantastic and it's proven and it works like crazy. So up at the top there, you see 8 by 10. So let's put $85 in there. Let's just pretend you're starting there. And then you multiply. So 85 is your X. See right there on the 8 by 10, it's got X. So it's $85 is X. So a 4 by 5 is 0.5X. A 5 by 7 is 0.65X. An 8 by 10 is X. 11 by 14 is 2X. And it goes up from there. And you can see how, because what most photographers are doing is charging way too little for the more appropriate sized images. Way too little. They're charging too little for an 8 by 10 as well. But it really gets bad when it gets up into the 1620s and the 24 by 30s. They're charging, you're giving it away way too little for what you do. It's so valuable. All right, well, now let's just go ahead a little bit. Let's look into the future. Let's say that you charge $150 for an 8 by 10 when you get there, doing it 10 or 20% twice a year. What happens to those numbers? And look at this. An 11 by 14, for example, becomes $300. A 16 by 20 becomes $700. A 30 by 40 becomes $1,950. Now we're talking where you can earn a darn good living doing what you love to do, especially when you start having more and more people invest in the more appropriate sized images. Your average sales go dramatically up. And you do that by the way you present your images to your clients, which is so important. But that's not what this today is about. Today is about the pricing and the merchandising. But that's our pricing formula, and it is proven. I have proven it over decades now. It just works like a charm.
So now, Dad, your bonus secret number 8.
Yeah. This is a bonus because this is something that I can actually take credit for. I actually came up with this, and I am just blown away by how incredibly well this works. And the original idea I heard, maybe a decade after I had come up with this, from Dan Kennedy, who called it a slack adjuster, which is when if you're having a slow time of year, you have this one big priced product. And if one person invests in it, it helps get over the slack time, the slow time. That's the way he was referring to it. But for me, it's all year long and it's fantastic, and it's called a Whopper. You know, Burger King, this is where the idea came from. I just love that. They named their hamburger a Whopper. I thought, what a great word. What if I had a Whopper, but I didn't call it a Whopper? And that's where the idea started to percolate in my mind. And over the years, I came up with it. And the definition of a Whopper, this is important. This is not trickery. This is not manipulation. You're running an honest business, but if if it's really important to them, like Tom was talking about, that he had talked with some people who had not hired him because his prices were too low, because how good can he be, right? Well, this is the opposite. This helps with that, because you invent a product that is, now I'm going to use bad words here, so expensive, so huge, so phenomenally high priced that nobody in their right mind would ever invest in it. That's a Whopper. That's the definition of the Whopper, okay? So when someone doesn't invest in that, you don't feel hurt. You don't feel rejected, because they're supposed to not invest in it. I'm trying to cover a lot of years in just a few minutes here. So what we do is, for each product line, for your weddings, for your high school seniors, for your children's photography, for your regular portrait in this bit, for executive, whatever the product line is, every product line has to have a Whopper. That is by definition so big, so huge. So like you see there on the photograph, that's a 40 by 50 on canvas over a love seat, and it looks perfectly wonderful there. That's my Whopper. I never referred to that to a client, but between you and I, that's my Whopper. No one's ever going to invest in that. Are you kidding me? That was thousands and thousands, right? This is what I'm thinking. This is going to be thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars. Nobody's going to, and when someone does, when they invest in it, then you're supposed to come up with a new Whopper that's even bigger and bolder. Don't ever miss this on your merchandising. So the 8, you want to go over the 8 pricing secrets, Todd?
Yeah, just as a reminder, look at all the stuff that we've covered here, and we're going to get into our Q&A section here in just a moment, and we've got some other thoughts for you too that we're going to be able to share before we end in about 10 minutes. So don't go anywhere, stick on here. We covered the 2/3 law, the good, better, best merchandising, the price value relationship, autopilot pricing, the fact that it's not the prices, it's how you present them and how we present them with the telephone, on the emails, and in person with the mega booking packet and the telecharts and the email response system. Packages almost always outsell a la carte when done correctly, and Shirley has a really great question we're going to answer here in a moment about pricing and packaging. 7, using the proven pricing formula, and 8, always have a Whopper for every product line. Again, when you start with the Whopper, with the thing that is the most expensive, the best of the best, and you start there first when you're presenting these to the client, and you work your way down from there, then it makes all of your other products seem inexpensive by comparison. That is incredibly valuable, and again, a part of the way that we are appealing to the right type of clients out there for us, and for whom we are going to be the right photographer for them.
Yeah, and the beauty of the Whopper is they're still getting you. Okay, so let's say you've got a $10,000 collection for children's or families. Let's just pick families. Let's say it's $10,000. All right. Well, they say, no, I can't do that. I can't possibly do that. So they drop down, like Todd said, now everything below it sounds positively affordable, but the key is they still get you. It's still you. You're the artist. You're creating the same image that means so much to them, but they're getting a $10,000 photographer for maybe half of that or a quarter of that. This really works in the photography industry.
All right. Well, let's get into our members' questions here. And let's go with our first question that has come in from Shirley. And as I said, she asked a really great question here about the packages. This is for people who are members of our online vault or whom are going to do the calls with me, because you're going to get a copy of our price list. She asks, how do I price packages from a la carte? Can I find them on the online vault? Yes, you can, Shirley. If you go to the online vault and you type in the search bar, senior price list, I believe it should take you right there. If you type in senior price list, then what that's going to do is that's going to take you right to, I'm going to actually show it here. Let me bump this over to the right screen. You should be seeing this now. This is a copy of our senior price list, which has the a la carte prices up here, and right down here goes into exactly what we call these different packages. You know, we've got them listed as A, B, C, D, E, all that stuff, but it shows you what are covered in there and what they get for it, what the savings are, all that stuff that we just talked about. So you should be able to find that, and you can apply that same stuff to your families, children, weddings, all of that stuff as well. So great question there, Shirley, and I hope that answers that properly for you. Todd typed in, not me, Todd, a different Todd with 1D, Todd with 1D versus me with 2 Ds, typed in and just said a comment, and this is great, Todd, you've obviously been studying with us a while. He says, the difference between a $1 bill and a $100 bill is what's printed on the paper.
Yep.
That is 100% correct, which means, you know, that's the difference between, you know, a 40 by 50 by a wonderful photographer that really knows what they're doing versus a 40 by 50 done by somebody who really doesn't know what they're doing. The difference is what's printed on that paper. And the same goes with your marketing. The difference between an effective marketing piece and an ineffective marketing piece is what is in that marketing message. That's what makes the difference. So if you've ever done, you know, social media advertising, website advertising, you've done postcards, lift cards, you've sent out brochures, and they just haven't worked for you, it's not because that technique doesn't work. It's because what's printed on that paper or on that web page or in that social media post is not effective. Another question came in from Bob. Bob asks, how do you price your better and best? Dad, I'll turn that one over to you.
Yeah, what I wanted to do, well, first you have to decide what they are going to be. In other words, your photography is going to be identical. The time and work you put into creating the images is going to be identical, right? You're always going to make the best presentation you can with it. So even your good, let's call it good, good, better, best, your good, the lower lot product line is going to be printed the best you can print it. It's going to be enhanced to the best it can possibly be. That's not where the separation is. So what are the separations? The separations are going to be in the finish, and because we're viewing this portrait by reflected light. And this is so fun to talk about with a client when you're presenting the images to them and you're talking about, you're viewing that portrait by reflected light, and how it reflects determines how incredible it looks to you. And so you can explain the difference in the way the finish is. So the first one is a very smooth, the good is smooth. The second one is textured, has some texturing on it. And the third one is embedded on true artist canvas, so that because the real old masters, painters, discovered that canvas was such a great surface to paint on, because the way it bounced the light off of it from their oils and their paints, and it made a huge difference. So that's how you go from good to better to best. And that's the only difference. So your good is still the very finest you can do. It's just not on the finest material, which is fine artist canvas, which is your best.
All right, thank you, Bob. Great question. I hope that answered your question there. And this is unfortunately all the time we have. We've got to end here in about 2 minutes. And I want to give each of our gentlemen a moment to say any last minute words. I will start, then I'll turn it over to Tom, and then Dad, you can have the final word. We got about 2 minutes left. So I will just say, please do me one favor here, and that is take action on something that you learned today. Maybe the action you're going to take is to say, hey, I'm going to really look at my pricing structure, and I'm going to apply that pricing formula, or I'm going to start creating my own telecharts. Whatever it is, take action. Don't just leave this event and let things become the same way they've always been. 1 minute left. Tom, I'm going to turn it over to you. You got 30 seconds.
Thanks, Todd. This is great. I often have clients tell me, gee, I feel like I have a friend in the business now, Tom. When I need photography, I've been with you. I really appreciate being with you. Well, if you're a professional photographer and you're on this today, you have friends in the business, and Todd particular can really be your best friend in this business. You can call, you can ask him all these questions. He will help you out. And I can tell you, because I learned so much from him and Charles, of course, myself, he's a friendly guy. I want to say one last thing, just reaching back into the program, the Whopper. Once I discovered that and learned that from Chuck, it is a measuring device, meaning that there will come times when people do invest in the Whopper, and boy, does your self-confidence go up. You're like, wow, okay, I can raise that Whopper. And from time to time, that will happen. That does a lot to boost about how you feel about yourself and your photography and your business. So if you're achieving that, it means you're moving in the right direction. Other than that, great day today. This is always very much fun, and thanks for being here.
Yeah, thank you, Tom, for taking the time. I know you've got an appointment coming right up, and you're going to have to fly. And thank you so much for being here. You added so much to this event, and I love your comments, and you covered good information, really good. It was very, very an honor to have you on with us today. So thank you.
Thank you.
You bet. And my last words are, don't let your fear of failure or your fear of being yelled at slow you down, stop you, send you backwards. Don't let a dangerous person tell you or convince you that you cannot do this, because you can. I'm proof of it that you can. I started with nothing, no money, no self-confidence, no reputation, no nothing, and built an incredibly successful photography business that I'm very proud of, and that gave our clients a chance to have some images that they just dearly loved. And it means a lot to me that I am able to do this, because I've spent my whole life doing what I love to do and getting darn well paid for doing it. So you can do this. Be careful who you allow to influence you. Only let people who are where you want to be influence you in making decisions in your life. It was an honor to be here today. I hope we were helpful, and we'll talk to you again, hopefully sometime soon. Bye-bye now.